Okay.
It is noon already, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to session 7, talking all about exploring care coordination. We're so happy to have you with us as we're kind of rounding the home stretch here with the Navigating Special Needs training. So welcome. So just a few Zoom logistics. We go over these each time, but just want to do a quick reminder. Just ask that you keep your microphone muted unless you're talking. We like to see your face, so if at all possible, please keep that video on unless you've got something you need to do in the background. If you have questions for the speaker, please use the chat feature and then we'll collect those and share them at the end. And then the facility, I'll gather those questions and we'll discuss them at the end as I sit clear. So just a few things we like to remember as we come together, just that we share the air with each other, give each other the opportunity to speak our mind, and knowing that we're going to keep that confidential. And speak from your own experience and only give advice if asked. So we like to know who you are. So if you look in your window pane, you're going to see either a name or potentially a device or just a first name. So if you would, go ahead and rename yourself. And the way that you can do that is finding your name or device on the participant list. Down on the bottom, you'll see participants and then a number. You can just hit that up arrow and go to yourself and rename. You go under that more section and then down to rename, or you can click the 3 little dots in your square and rename yourself there as well. So this is a time of year that for most people is their favorite time of year, but we'd like to hear from you. What is your favorite thing about fall? You can go ahead and chat it in or unmute yourself. Suzanne says the leaves, yes. Cooler temperatures, for sure. Food, decorating, and sweaters. Yes, Jill. I love the change of clothing and that mode that you can get into. It's fun. It's like a whole new option opens up. All right, well, thank you for that. I'd like to present to you our presenters for today. First of all, we have Martha Hanley. Martha Hanley served as a program manager for family engagement in the University of Iowa Division of Child and Community Health. She is now retired. Martha is the parent of 5 and a grandparent of 14, some of whom have special health care needs. And our other presenter is Clementine Carl. Clementine is a family navigator at Child Health Specialty Clinics serving families in the Des Moines area. She's the mother of a 15-year-old on the autism spectrum. She's supported families as a family navigator with Child Health Specialty Clinics for 3.5 years. And she believes that disability right advocates are heroes. Right on, Clem. And I will turn it over to you ladies.
Thanks so much, Rachel. And hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. Clementine are delighted to share some thoughts about care coordination and to learn from you about your own experiences of care coordination in your worlds. In today's Navigating Special Needs session, Clementine and I will remind you of those good principles of communication, organizing your child's care, and working with partners that are part of navigating special needs. We all know that. And these principles have been discussed in previous webinars. Care coordination keeps all of these skills together in order to achieve better care for our children and youth with special needs. A well-functioning system of care for children and youth with special health care needs includes provision of care coordination. It's in all the literature, and the experts are talking about the need for care coordination. Often that requires the skills of a professional care coordinator. In an ideal world, every parent who needs it would receive care coordination, but we know that doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen a lot in Iowa. Sometimes parents need to take the reins into their own hands and be their own care coordinators. And we believe that with trainings like these, parents are fully capable of doing so. In this session, we'll define care coordination, consider with you how to enhance the care coordination you may currently receive, or to be your child's care coordinator if you are not fortunate enough to have a professional care coordinator. We'll introduce the concept of medical home and its care coordination role, and encourage you to start planning for the transition of your child to adult health services. You may recall hearing about transition to adulthood in the educational setting. This is a parallel process requiring the same planning and intentionality. Let's talk about the population that generally seeks care coordination, those children with special health care needs and their families. Typically developing children, and many of us have typically developing children, and we know that at times we could benefit from the services of a care coordinator for those typically developing children, especially if there's been a particular health event like a respiratory condition, which we think about a lot these days, that for a period of time affects their ability to navigate systems. But generally, it is children with these characteristics who really rely on some form of care coordination. So who are children and youth with special health care needs? And this is the nationally accepted definition. They have a physical, developmental, behavioral, or emotional condition that requires health and related services of a type or amount beyond that required by children generally. So there's some kind of a functional limitation that these children experience, that our children experience. The condition is expected to last more than 1 year. So there's some longevity to the condition. And there are some examples of diagnoses that fall under this umbrella of special health care needs. So it's all of us who are on this webinar, I believe, who have children with special health care needs. In Iowa, roughly there's 158,000 children with special health care needs. We think of the lives of parents of children and youth with special health care needs as navigating among several pillars in the system of care. 4 of them are mentioned here: health, education, safety, and housing. I think we could all add some more, right? We could think about our specialty care, about outpatient therapies, about recreation, and so on. Each pillar generally has a care plan or an agreement of how care will be provided, even education. So if we think of IEPs or 504 plans, those are also care plans. Besides keeping an eye on all of these plans, parents are trying to manage daily life, right? So who's pulling all the pieces together? Who's coordinating all that care and all those care plans? Let's define care coordination. One of the problems in the rollout of care coordination across the country is that there isn't a standard definition. This is one that's often used, and it's that families often use. And by the way, we're talking about care coordination from a family perspective. You will not leave this 1-hour webinar qualified to be a professional care coordinator. But from the perspective of families, this is appropriate care coordination. It's patient and family-centered, and we'll talk more about how foundational family-centered care is in this process. It's assessment-driven. Sometimes we know assessments can be very formal, but in terms of care coordination, it can be a very simple review of what I would like you to know about my child, what my concerns are, what important changes I've noticed. We know that care coordination works best in a team, with people with expertise in various centers who are working together to provide the best care. Care coordination enhances the caregiving capabilities of families. Having a care coordinator reduces caregiver stress and allows caregivers to focus on that all-important parenting role. Care coordination addresses the interrelated biopsychosocial needs of the child and family, not just the child. Remember, a child exists in the context of the family. So a child is not just a patient, but a child is also a student, a person receiving therapy, a child involved in sports, and a child in the midst of his or her family. Let's dig deeper into what care coordination is. This short video produced by Family Voices of Indiana, and I'm giving a nod to family support organizations across the country. So Family Voices Indiana looks at care coordination from a family perspective in this video that's about 6 minutes long. Thank you, Diane.
What is care coordination? Getting and paying for the right care and treatments for children who have special health care needs is immensely complicated. Families typically try to manage their child's care, which can include primary care, multiple specialists, and outpatient therapies. They coordinate with school services, navigate special education, and investigate options for social and disability programs. Families do all this in addition to managing the demands of day-to-day life. With all these moving parts, it makes sense to bring everyone together and ensure that the child and family's needs are being met. Care coordination is crucial to pulling all the pieces together and making care better. Ideally, these efforts are designed to make care better for children with special healthcare needs. But there are a lot of different ideas about how to integrate care and a lot of terms that go with them. We talk about care coordination, case management, a case coordinator, service coordination, care management, health navigators, having a medical home or health home, promotora, care teams, care notebooks, care portals, guided care, and family navigators. Each of these terms mean different things to different people. Some programs might be focused on families, others on carrying out healthcare recommendations. Still others are designed to cut costs. Each family, every professional, and every system have their own perspectives on how to make care more seamless. No single perfect solution exists, but the combined efforts of many people who have shared goals and use effective communication to work as a team can help. This is what true care coordination should be. These standards define care coordination as a patient and family-centered, assessment-driven, continuous, team-based activity designed to meet the biopsychosocial needs of children and youth while enhancing person and family caregiving skills and capabilities. How do we know when what we're doing is real care coordination? What are biopsychosocial needs? It might help to break these ideas down. Care coordination is patient and family-centered. That means that a respectful partnership exists between the family and the care team. A collaborative effort honors the strengths, cultures, traditions, and expertise of each individual in the room. Each and every interaction with a family is an opportunity to build trust. Building that trust involves listening to the family, offering help linked to what they need, and following through on promises. Care coordination is assessment-driven. Care coordination activities should focus on interactions that help everyone involved understand what's important to the family, what they value, and what needs they have now. This doesn't mean asking the family to answer a long set of questions or medical checklists. Rather, it's a team approach working to show true concern about what matters most to the family. All planning starts from this place of understanding. Care coordination is continuous. As a child develops and the family changes, priorities may change too. The focus of care needs to keep up with those changes while still taking all history and prior experiences into consideration. This includes previous successes and failures. Remembering past experiences when preparing for the near and distant future can prevent the need for urgent care or stop crisis events from happening. This proactive approach sets expectations so that each person knows what to do and when to do it. Care coordination is team-based. Families work with a lot of different groups of professionals, including doctors and nurses, therapists, teachers, and others in their community. Having a team prevents dependency on any one person. The team can back each other up. A team can offer a trusting relationship. Team members retain and share knowledge and can keep in mind the history of a child and family and understand agreed upon plans. Team-based care coordination means that everyone's knowledge of the patient, including the families, is used to create best strategies and solutions. Care coordination is a clear set of activities or actions. Care coordination activities are based on the needs and goals of the child and family. Working together to create a shared plan of care is an approach to care coordination. Planned care visits create the time and context to jointly develop these plans, which include a summary of medical facts and strategies to meet needs or goals. A plan of care might include access to communication assistance, coaching around how to advocate and communicate for one's child, sharing of needed information, and the carrying out of agreed upon prioritized actions. Care coordination meets the biological, psychological, and social needs of children and youth. Children who have special health care needs are children first. Care coordination should address the whole child and family, including their unique medical needs. Care coordination supports the child and family as they live, learn, work, and play in their community. It offers a pathway to real family-centered care. Finally, care coordination enhances person and family caregiving skills and capabilities. Families are the constant in their children's day-to-day lives. They navigate their child's educational, social, medical, psychological, and basic needs. Families want to learn how to best care for their child. Each specialist, therapist, and service provider brings their own expertise and perspective to the care relationship. But merging these pieces in a way that makes sense and is doable typically falls to the family. Care coordination brings a learning partner, someone who can help take some of the uncertainty or guesswork out of this process. A care coordinator helps a family improve their skills in advocating, reporting, and decision-making for their child. Real care coordination holds the potential to improve a family's daily life. It can help achieve the goal of raising their children well. Care coordination means building and supporting a team to set goals and work together on a shared plan of care. This makes the complicated reality of care, treatment, and coverage manageable. Care coordination is family-centered care in action. Thank you to Indiana's Care Coordination Champions for contributions to this effort. This video was made possible by grant number D70MC27544 from the Health Resources and Services Administration, an operating division of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, to clarify what a care coordinator might do for us. A care coordinator typically, and these are some typical activities, they help members of the team communicate with one another with our consent always. They help with the nuts and bolts of care, thinking about insurance or including waiver applications, arranging for transportation or home care, durable medical equipment, making sure there is a care plan that's not to be taken for granted, and that the care plan reflects the family's priorities and also coaches the family on advocating for the child. We'd like to know how many of you have received care coordination, and if yes, from whom? So we've prepared a short poll. And that'll come up in just a moment. So we can respond to the poll. So we have that 100% of those on the call have received care coordination. That's great. That's a great percentage, and that doesn't reflect the population, I think, in the state, but that's
So, Martha, I think only one person got a chance to vote.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to relaunch it, Rachel, and leave it open just a bit longer and give everybody a chance to...
Sorry about that.
Right again.
That's okay.
This webinar has a lot of bells and whistles in it.
Yeah.
So thank you for your patience.
And if you notice along the right-hand side, there's a gray toolbar and there's more options for who provides care coordination.
Thank you. And I'm not seeing it, Rachel.
If you don't answer number 2, it doesn't let you submit. So if you say no, it doesn't let you submit.
So you have to... so let's just put down care coordinator, even if it's a no. Otherwise, you won't be able to submit. That's a interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize it would do that.
We learn something with every webinar. And I am not seeing it. Can someone?
Now we have 6 of the 8 voting. So I think that's probably everybody with the presenters. So now you could end polling.
You'll be able to see it here, Martha.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. So, and this is more true to form, as we'll see in the data that we'll pull up in just a moment. But it looks as if about 2/3 do not receive care coordination and do not currently receive care coordination, and a third does. And if yes, who provides it? Some of you do have a care coordinator.
Probably those are the no's, Martha. So my guess is that there's nobody that has a
Oh,
care
I see.
coordinator.
That's right. Okay. So those no's wish they had a care coordinator, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some of you have a case manager, and that could be through managed care. And I'm interested that someone clicked promotora, which it's a Portuguese word for counselor, and it was mentioned in the video, so that I'm if whoever responded to that they had a promotora, if you
Sorry,
chat in.
I
I'm sorry, or unmute.
It was you, Clem?
it was me. I just liked the sound of the word, and my answer was no. I didn't
Oh,
realize
okay.
it
So
I
you
do
don't have one.
would reflect as
Yeah.
an answer
I had
if
hoped
the
to.
answer was no.
Thank you. I'd hope to learn whether that is active in Iowa. I hadn't heard about that, but thank you for participating in that.
So my guess is one person has a care coordinator and one person has a case manager.
Okay,
From
thank
our
you.
results, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll continue to think about what a care coordinator can do for us. But your experience is reflective of what parents have been saying for quite a while, that even though the system has known that care coordination for children with special health care needs is an essential element of the system of care, it is elusive. So according to this study, there tends to be, it looks as if 41% of parents with typically developing children, 72% of parents with special health care needs, of children with special health care needs, need it. 1/3 do not receive it. There is some disparity among parents of children with brain injury and mental illness about the quality of the care coordination that they receive. And this article that's cited on the slide indicates that that's because the mental health needs and physical health needs tend to be siloed. So it's hard to find a care coordinator who will meet all of those needs. You'll notice that family-centered care may offset the absence of care coordination. Clementine and I will talk more about the attributes of family-centered care because that's so critical in the absence or even in the presence of care coordination. We'll talk about family-centered care and how we can recognize whether we're receiving it. Some of us are fortunate enough to find other families for help in navigating the new world after a diagnosis of a special health care need. And a few of us discover the benefits of care coordination. We invited Clementine to share her experience of meeting and finding care coordination. Clem?
Yes, thank you. My story begins when my son was 3 years old. He had no receptive language, meaning he couldn't understand what was said to him. And he only used a little bit of sign language, words like more or mama. And his primary communication, his primary language was biting and kicking and hitting. He seemed to understand less cause and effect than other toddlers. And our time was spent with me creating enriching activities that he would ignore or read as he bit and kicked fear or frustration. I had no idea how to take care of him or what could be done to help him. In the waiting room of my son's speech therapy, I learned from other mothers about Medicaid waivers and special education preschool and other therapies. At that point, my problem transformed from into having no time or energy to pursue the filling of forms and the making of calls. Now, our story takes a happy turn when a few years later, I landed on the phone roster of my family navigator, Rochelle. She validated how hard everything was for me and gave me a great deal of comfort. And importantly, she encouraged me to start taking risks and tackling our family goals. She reminded me of my successes, and I started to gain courage and take risks and seek to meet our family goals. I slowly, over time, became confident and competent to secure what he needed. And I also began to connect the threads managing appointments and medical care and interventions and doctors. I am not perfect. There are many parents better than me at managing their child's condition. Sometimes my son will have a symptom that's important to communicate, and it will take me a week to do it. And also, with each new diagnosis or big change, it's taken me time to get back on top and regain that feeling of competence and confidence. My experience of utter bewilderment slowly transforming into a strong management style is not singular. As a family navigator, I have witnessed, and I truly hope that I have led other families that felt as bereft as mine into becoming their own care coordinators. I have seen families express they are being their best selves, meeting their child's various needs as they partner with their child's doctors.
Thank you, Clementine. And Clementine was so generous to share her son's care map here, which, and creating a care map does, similar to this for your own child, gives you a sense of how much you're juggling and how much you are having to coordinate among all of those pillars, which are illustrated in different colors. So Clementine found care coordination services through her family navigator, which made all the difference. It's important for parents of children with special health care needs in Iowa to know about this valuable statewide resource funded by Title V of the Social Security Act. We'd also like to introduce another partner available to you, your medical home. A medical home is home base. It's a healthcare practice in your community that is completely responsive to your needs and your child's needs. Typically, this is where your child receives primary care, preventive care, acute care. So it's your pediatrician or ARMP or physician assistant whom you see for almost all of your child's needs. Sometimes the individual's medical home may be a specialist. So for instance, because of that siloing that I mentioned between, thank you, Rachel, that silo that I mentioned that exists between physical health and mental health, we found that for my son who has a mental health condition, we needed to think of his psychiatrist as a medical home. And you know, that depends on the acuity of the need as well. But basically, a medical home is wherever the family says it is. So if the family wants the specialist to be a medical home, that's the child's medical home. It's important for families to know what a medical home can offer so we can work with our medical homes to educate them and make suggestions, as Clementine will demonstrate in a minute. Experts trying to promote medical home across the country say we should expect care that is accessible. And as I talk about these attributes, think about the practice that you think of as your medical home and say, do they provide this? Or might they be encouraged to provide it? So if care is accessible, it's provided in the child's community. All insurance, including Medicaid, is accepted. The practice is accessible by public transportation if that's available in the community. And the practice is physically accessible. So there, you know, you don't have to go up 5 steps and down 6 steps in order to reach the practice. A huge foundational to a medical home is that it's family-centered. And as was discussed earlier, there's mutual responsibility and trust between the family and the provider. The family is recognized as not only as the principal caregiver, but also the center of strength and support for the child. And families, youth, and provider share responsibility in decision-making as equal partners. It's continuous. That means that care is provided from infancy to young adulthood, and maybe beyond, depending on what kind of provider it is. And also that assistance with transition to adult services is available. It's comprehensive. So care is available 24/7, 52 weeks a year. Preventive care is provided, and extra time is provided for children and youth with special health care needs as indicated. It's coordinated. There is someone in the practice who is your go-to, who is willing to connect the dots for you. A plan of care, there is a plan of care. It's developed by the whole team. So the provider, the child or youth, and the family, and shared with everyone involved in the child's care. And very importantly, families are linked to family support groups and other family resources. We know what compassionate care looks like. There's the concern for the child and the family is expressed, and efforts are made to appreciate the perspectives of the child and the family. It's also culturally effective. The family's cultural background is respected. If the family, by virtue of their culture, tends to seek the advice of a large number of people in making decisions about their medical care, that is honored and time is provided for that. Efforts are made to make sure that the family understands the results of the medical encounter, and that means providing interpreters as necessary, and written materials are provided in the family's primary language. We have the ability to improve the medical homeness of our practices. Keeping in mind that we have a right to have high expectations, so we anticipate that we will receive good medical home care, be respected for our input, and that we're able to ask for what we need. And this is a true partnership, so we also have a responsibility to be a good partner in care. Next slide, please. The attributes of a medical home reflect family-centered care at its best. Clementine will spend just a minute showing how she asks for and receives family-centered care from her medical home. Clem?
I walk into my child's doctor's office with the expectation to be viewed as a partner and part of my son's medical team. I am my son's observer, medication aide, and expert on him and his conditions. After years of frustration and anger, I encountered some advice on partnership that greatly satisfied my aspirations. Doctors are under enormous pressure to be doctors at high speeds and pretty much perfectly. And they are accustomed to patients that accept their expertise. I used to wait until the doctor believed that he or she had met our needs before explaining that I had ideas about how the treatment regimen should unfold. And I was usually disappointed. I now walk into an appointment prepared to prime the doctor that I see myself as a partner. I literally say, I'm Dashiell's mother. I have steeped myself in information about his conditions and have a strong feeling about how his medication course should go. I welcome you to his team and am enthusiastic about how you're going to help us. And that really gives them a sense that I expect that partnership. Most of the time, doctors are happy to treat me as a partner when they know from the beginning that that's an expectation. I don't always introduce myself that way, but I have found I don't regret it, even if it ended up not being necessary. I suggest being brief, respectful of their expertise, and expressing gratitude.
Thank you, Clementine, for that guidance and that inspiring encouragement for us. We too can do this. We would love to get a call from a care coordinator, right? Telling us about the latest breakthrough or a new therapy for our children. I have never received such a call, and the chances are that we probably will not do that. Even if we are working with a care coordinator or a case manager, we will always be our child's primary care coordinator, right? Because we know our child best. There's no technology right now that is providing real-time comprehensive information about our child's health. There's no portal that we can log into that will do that, that has all of our care plans involved. There's no mechanism for integrating care across all systems. These are all things that we would love to see develop. Also, we think about our children all the time. Even the best care coordinator has a few children to think about. So we always will be our child's primary care coordinator. What we would like is support in that role from a care coordinator from our medical home. Care will be better if we are partnering with our child's medical home. So when we're negotiating with our medical home, we can ask for a specific staff member who will be the point of contact. So we'll get to know that person and develop a relationship that staff member will get to know what our priorities are. We'll collaborate in care planning and ask for a care plan. We'll be a good partner. And actually, some pediatricians got together and said what they would appreciate seeing in parents who participate in care as partners. They said, be prepared to show how your child is doing and talk about it. How's that child doing at play, at school? How's that child sleeping? Write down your main questions or concerns. Bring a list of other providers that your child sees with their contact information and ask for help in creating a care plan. And you'll see in some of the resources that you'll receive after this webinar that there is a sample care plan that we can fill out and take it to our medical home and say, can you help me make this more comprehensive and truly truly reflective of what is going on in my child's life within this practice. Find a network of peer or mentor families. Clementine's story really reflected that sometimes we get our best information from other families, and I think most of us on this call can validate that. It's important always to touch base with that network of peer families. And discover a community network of services. That is truly family-centered care. To check to see what's happening in our community and spread that concept of family-centered care to that community network. Also, we should be thinking about transition to adulthood. If our medical home is not bringing up information or encouragement to think about transition to adult health care, we should be bringing it up as a good partner in care. And that brings us to the last thing that we'd like to talk about in this webinar, and we'll touch on it very briefly. We could spend several webinars discussing transition to adult healthcare, and fortunately, there is an upcoming webinar series about transition to adult healthcare that you'll receive information about in the next few days or weeks. But I want to draw your attention to the resource that you received in the mail earlier this week, and also to these resources that are available on the Child Health Specialties Clinic's website. And these are quick forms or quick fact sheets about each of these topics that are really important to understand as our child is transitioning to adult health care. Part of thinking about transition to adulthood is educating ourselves on the resources that exist and all of those other pillars. This is another whole world of entities that are thinking about transitioning to adulthood. We need to know who they are and how we fit in that system. We want to start thinking about transition to adulthood at least by age 12. That's what the guidance is. But if we give birth to a child who has a special healthcare need, we want to start thinking shortly after that about what adult life might look like for that child. We hope that you will consider the importance of care coordination in your life and in your child's life. Think about your role and the role of your medical home. How can we collaborate with the different pillars to support the best care for our children now and in the future? So thank you very much for your attention. I think, Diane, do you want to follow up? Or Rachel?
Rachel, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. What questions do you have for our presenters today? You can chat them in or unmute. What would you like to remember, or what stuck out to you? I hadn't heard Clem's story before, so thank you for sharing that. It was very inspiring. Suzanne says, how do you go about finding a network of peer or mentor families?
That's a great question. I feel as if in my own journey, it was sort of uncovering rocks. My son became ill as a young adult, and we'd received a diagnosis. I had no idea what to do next. Someone happened to mention the National Alliance on Mental Illness. She said, have you ever heard of it? And I said, no, that's a family support organization. It's an organization of peer families. I was able to access the National Alliance on Mental Illness, a local chapter, and that individual whose name was on the website, there was a question, would you like to talk to another parent? And I thought, yes, I absolutely need to talk to another parent. And that parent became my mentor really over the next 10 years. She gave me she validated my feelings. She gave me some advice on what to do next. You know, I accessed her as I felt was necessary. But when my son relapsed 10 years later, it was to that person that I returned when I needed to know how to navigate the new normal. We do have a list of family support organizations in the state. There are some that are diagnosis specific that we can make known to you. There are also some general, oh, Diane has it right there. There are also some organizations that support families of children with all diagnoses. I'm thinking of Ask Resource Center, which is the Parent Training Information Center, and the Family Voices State Affiliate Organization. I'm blanking right now, but if you contact Diane or Rachel or Jill, they'll be able to get you in touch with family support organizations. Is there anybody else who wants to respond to that?
Yeah, Amira asked, does Family Navigators do the same work?
So is your question, Amira, that do all Family Navigators do the same work? So if I access one Family Navigator, it'll be pretty much the same as another Family Navigator? You're muted. Oh, yes, okay. So the Family Navigators in the state all work for the University of Iowa Child Health Specialty Clinics, the Division of Child and Community Health, and they provide family-to-family support, emotional support, systems navigation, and connection to community resources. So yes, they all do basically the same work. Some have particular expertise in certain diagnoses. So often your Family Navigator will work with a Family Navigator who will have expertise in your child's diagnosis. Is there anything Rachel or Diane would like to add, or Clem, for that?
You said it well. Amira, can you unmute and say more if that answered your question, or if there was something particular you had in mind?
Oh, you muted yourself again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know how can I find one here in Cedar Rapids? And do they have to be in the same city or no?
So no, we provide a statewide resource, so you don't have to be co-located with a Family Navigator. You know, we have several around the state, and so many will be familiar with the resources in your area. But I think probably the best thing to do is to connect with Diane or Rachel to get you to a Family Navigator who will work with you.
I mean a care coordinator. Is it the same?
So we think of Family Navigators as providing care coordination services, yes. So a Family Navigator is a very good place to start.
Okay. Yeah, because you already referred me to a family navigator, and she's emailing me like every
Oh,
yeah.
okay, great, very good. Okay. Any other questions or success stories or challenges of working with a care coordinator? Check the chat.
That was it. All right, so as we move on, we're looking forward to the next session and finishing out this series. Diane, advance, please.
All right, I was trying to find that handout we have about the family diagnosis specific resources, but I'll find it and put it in a follow-up that Rachel will send you.
And I do want to mention I threw some of those links into the chat if you'd like to capture them there. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and send them out as part of the follow-up along with the slides and things. So you will have access to them later. And as well as that resource that Martha was talking about. So we'll come back on October 2nd and talk about finding resilience and hope. And that will finish us out. So we have a short survey for you to complete. You can find that in the chat. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's presentation and anything else that we can provide to you or information you're curious about going forward. Any final thoughts, questions, comments? All right. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. We'll look forward to seeing you on October 2nd.
Thanks very much.
I'm going to put that link in the chat.
I have it handy if you'd like me to do it, Jen.
Would you? I'm not, able to grab it from Qualtrics right now. In case anybody, this is a little Q code for you to capture with your phone. How high tech is that? So if you can do it, that's great. If not, I don't think you can probably click on this slide and get it, but Rachel will put it there. Thanks, Rachel.
I'm going to see if it works for me, Diane.
Yeah. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for a nice round out with Rachel on resilience and hope. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Let me stop the recording.